Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and well, the time has come. LEGO Lord of the Rings is back, and it is time to review the brand new $500 LEGO Rivendell Lord of the Rings set, which I have in hand right now, ready to showcase to you. Now, I have been beyond excited for the set for months now. Rumors have been swirling about Lord of the Rings coming back for a long time. First of all, people were saying that we might get a D2C, and then they said we wouldn't, and they said we would again, and really there was a lot of uncertainty, but when it was finally revealed, I was so happy and so thrilled that one of my favorite LEGO licenses is coming back. Right here you can actually see all of the original 2012 to 2013-14 Lord of the Rings sets right here. So I've got all of them pretty much displayed there. Tower of Orthanc in that corner over there, and hopefully there will be many more to come. I am so excited because this is obviously the largest and most detailed version of any Lord of the Rings building we have ever gotten ever before. Hopefully this is just the beginning of a brand new line of LEGO Lord of the Rings sets, and thank you all so much for tuning into this video. Let's jump right into the review because I've got a lot to say about this amazing model. Okay, so this is set number 10316, LEGO Lord of the Rings Rivendell at last. This retails for around $500 and includes 15 new unique minifigures, although technically 21 if you count each of the individual new statues with new prints for the torsos and faces. This is the triumphant return to form for the LEGO Lord of the Rings theme, which really hasn't been seen since basically 2014. We had a couple of minifigures in 2015 for LEGO Dimensions, but those were just older minifigures from the prior sets from the theme, and overall, ever since the final Hobbit movie performed poorly at the box office, LEGO Lord of the Rings was basically quietly shelved, and it wasn't until Rings of Power came out reigniting interest in the Lord of the Rings franchise when LEGO decided to give it another crack, and man am I really glad that they did, because this is obviously the largest, the most expensive, the most detailed, but also the best Lord of the Rings set ever made, pretty much ever by the LEGO group, but hopefully this is just a sign of many more things to come. Now this is a gargantuan set, and initially I really wanted to have my review out on the day it released. I worked really hard and actually streamed the most of the building process on Twitch. I built this with a friend of mine. Unfortunately, we did not finish by the end of that Sunday, and I was working all of this week, so I finally was just able to film, complete, and actually publish this review of Rivendell just a little bit of a week late, so hopefully you don't mind that. Thank you all so much for your patience. I know a lot of folks in the comments have been asking me, where is the Rivendell review? And here it is. And now to do this review, after talking a little bit about the general layout of the set itself, we're going to be taking a look at each of the individual portions because this is a monster, and thankfully the entire thing does separate out into different segments so you can take a look at them individually. First of all, you have a large tower here featuring, I think, what is probably some of the most impressive building techniques out of the entire set. The way that they've accomplished this diagonal walls and the angled parts of the tower itself is honestly like pure magic. And I was shocked to see just how well each of the bricks come together to form this particular part of the tower. It is truly a feat of engineering how they were able to get this to really seamlessly come together. One of the most impressive building techniques I've seen literally in my life. I own 7,800 LEGO sets, and this may be one of the techniques that impressed me the most. So that is really saying something. You can go up to the tower here. Thankfully, everything is removable, so you can remove and detach towers in order to be able to access the interior. And then you work your way over to the Council of Elrond center chamber. There are a lot of new printed tiles introduced in the set. There is a new 2x2 printed floor tile and a new printed Nexo shield tile, so that forms a really nice pattern both around the center plinth for the ring, but also around the entire back part of the Rivendell set itself. You'll have an expert use of the Minecraft Shulker boxes piece, which is a brand new piece for 2023, used for this star-shaped center column, which is very nice, and of course, really great building techniques used for the chairs. Now, as you pass a nicely detailed tree here, which is making great use of the macaroni curved large pieces for the roots of the tree, you can make your way over to another center gathering area for Rivendell. This is almost an extension of the back building there, and a beautiful bubbling waterfall. You have the tree roots extending underneath the bridge here, another bridge going over the waterfall, which I love the building techniques being done to make it bubbling at the bottom. You have the white pieces used to bubble there, and then finally you have a really well done, again, another insane building technique used to put this together, which is a little nice area to sleep in or maybe just use the table. It's just a great area, and you can have it be removed to access the forge down below.
This set features a ton of new minifigures and a host of new molds for weapons, where there actually was a new weapons pack mold created specifically for Lord of the Rings to be featured for a lot of the characters' iconic weapons, like Gimli's axes and Aragorn's sword. Even Boromir has a different sword. Of course, you have the Shattered Sword in the back there, as well as Frodo's Sting Sword. There's a lot of new molds here, and one of the most prominent new molds is the new Fern piece as well. The Fern was introduced for this set. It is a brand new piece for 2023, but as summer set images start to trickle in, we've already seen it be recolored in a white or tan for the LEGO Mario Dry Bowser Castle, so it's really cool to see them using this piece in other models. But I think now it's time to jump into the set itself. Let's break this up into segments. I'm going to start with this segment right here because that separates out. This also separates out here, and we'll take it one at a time in the way the building instructions actually told you to make it, which was this first, then this second, and then the final center area last. And then at the end of this video, we will be taking a look at every single one of the brand new LEGO Lord of the Rings minifigures in detail. So if you want to see the minifigures, definitely stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's jump right into the detailed sections of the review. Okay, so this is the far left side of Rivendell. First of all, we're going to do a bit of a turnaround just to see what this looks like from all angles, and I want to talk a little bit about the building techniques as we turn this around. One of the most impressive things to me was a very simple geometry where you used this specialized studs on the side piece to fit perfectly in between the wedge elements to cause this really nice archway to be used for the building itself. That was something that was super impressive to me. It looks phenomenal, and I am so pleased with how this turned out. Overall, you have a nice sloping roof here. Now, the roof tiling, which I know that everybody's going to talk about, everyone was saying, oh, the roof tiling is going to be impossible to do. Thankfully, it is actually really easy, because the instruction manual specifically instructs you to take a LEGO plate, which is included in the set, and just kind of run it alongside the tiles here, and that automatically smooths it up. So this is not as bad as it seems. That is the first thing I want to point out, because you can literally take a LEGO plate piece and slide it in between the grooves, and that will automatically cause these to be aligned in the right direction. So it made putting these on really easy. It took much longer to put them on than to line them up. Lining them up perfectly took about like 10 seconds, but putting them on, that was admittedly a bit of a chore, but it does look really good for the final product, so I can't complain. Moving onwards to the back here, you have a really nice sticker usage of the final battle against Sauron. This is what was depicted in the prologue of The Lord of the Rings. I think it's really cool because it suggests that maybe we might be getting an Isildur minifigure and a Sauron minifigure. I would love to get those. We know originally we were supposed to get Sauron for LEGO Dimensions, but it was canceled after LEGO Dimensions did not perform well. So this is a second chance to finally get them. And of course, you have the broken sword there, which is actually a brand new mold introduced for the set in the weapons pack, which is a really exciting thing to get, that LEGO actually made a specific mold for it. And I'm sure that when the time comes, when they'll do Return of the King sets, they will have the sword reforged as Aragorn's sword, which I cannot wait to get in hand. Moving on to the back part here, you have a really nice interior, and that's one of the things that's really great about the set. It isn't just a nice facade, it actually has a really beautiful interior and lots of spaces to play. First off, I do want to remove this tower here because that allows you to get easier access into the building. Let's take a closer look at this tower, and you can see that this is built remarkably well. You have a great studs in the side technique for these interlocking types of slope bricks, which looks really good. Again, using some vehicle arches. These are some of the new vehicle arches for stuff like Speed Champions and City, which look great as the archways on top of here. And while the top of the tower is fairly simple, just using these slope pieces, everything else just comes together so well, and I am a huge fan of the way this looks like bricks interlocked with each other at a specific angle. Going on down here, it is a really unique base plate for the bottom here, the unique imprint for the bottom, because you've got a lot of these pieces mounted at an angle, which is very, very impressive. Always when LEGO sets go outside of the system and go outside of just basic standard bricks, it's always 10 times more impressive when they do that. So big fan of that. And now we can zoom in. This is probably the simplest area, but it is a very iconic location for the movie itself. Unfortunately, you can't really move the roof. It's really just how it is how you're gonna get it, but you have a bed area for Bilbo and Frodo. This is where Frodo kind of woke up in and was greeted by Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring. Some really nice stickers, so you've got some elven detail there and some nice bed stickers. And inside the chest itself, you have Frodo's new mithril armor, which is a sticker which you can barely see in there, as well as a second copy of Sting, which they did include for the set itself. Moving onwards to this area right here, so let's just kind of see if we can get the camera angle in there. You can see that there and back again is being written on the book itself, which is really nice. That's kind of Bilbo's writing station. The book does fully close up, if I can get that to close up. And it shows the nice little sticker for the front of the book as well, which is specific to Lord of the Rings, which I am a big fan of. Now, this is a little bit finicky to mess around with. There's not a lot of easy ways to get your fingers in there, but it works out totally okay for the most part. Moving onwards to the bottom section, you have a really nicely built library and bookshelf area. Let me just bring that a little closer to the camera. You can see some really nice designs for studs on the side bookcases, one of the things I really love about this set, and some nice candles as well, which really do complement the scene and make it feel more alive. But of course, one of the most impressive building techniques to me was how this was accomplished. Looking at a top-down view, and this is really sturdy, I mean, you can really just move this all around, but looking at a top-down view, all of these are at specific angles, and they're using triangle pieces to really bridge all the gaps in between here. So impressive how that is done. I am a huge fan of how that turned out, and I really like how, despite it not being advertised, like they don't advertise these as minifigures, but these are individual new minifigs. We'll take a look at like one of the statues in the minifigure section itself, with dual-sided heads, one more calm and serene, and one a little bit more serious. And this is all new printing just for Lord of the Rings, which is so cool. Honestly, with that, we've probably summed up our look at this section of the set. There's a little bit of an area here, which is nice that you can move the foliage over to reveal just a little bit of a hidden passageway in here. So let me just see if we can get the foliage out. There's just a nice little slope in there to hide. I don't really know what this is for, honestly. It's just to, I guess, hide away other minifigures and stuff. You can, let me see, is there anything you can move? I guess you can try to move the bookcase to make it reveal a secret area there. I don't know if that's something that is intentional, though. Let me see. Can I even easily remove the bookcase? Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but there is a little bit of a section that's tucked away. Once you remove the bookcase, you can kind of see it. There's a leaf that you can move to the side to really reveal that space. I don't know if that's a reference to anything. Please do let me know, Tolkien scholars in the comics, if this hidden bookcase is supposed to be referencing something. Certainly nothing that I know from the movies, but you know what? You never know, but it is a cool thing to have anyways, to just have this moving piece down at the bottom here be able to reveal a secret passageway. Otherwise, despite this being arguably the smallest part of Rivendell, it definitely is the most narrow section of it. This may honestly be my favorite part, just because of how well this building is built, but in terms of nature, there is one part that is even more interesting to me, so let's go take a look at the next section right now. Okay, so this is the second part of Rivendell, and it is a beautiful flowing waterfall, a bridge arcing over it, and this is really the part that focuses on the beautiful nature of Rivendell. While the previous section was pretty much mostly just a large building, this forgoes the focus on buildings and focuses more on the kinds of environments and nature that you would see, which is something I really do appreciate. The first thing I want to do as we do our turnaround is talk about these trees, because the tree building technique for this is fairly simple, but honestly really good. And I'm a big fan of how the trees came together. They are using a lot of nice studs on the side building techniques, also using the Bionicle CCBS G2 type Kylo Ren crossguard lightsaber hilt pieces to add the trees to the side here, which is really smart. And the trees are deceptively simple. They're basically just Technic rods from the way up, and you have these branches going outwards, but they work out really well, and they add a lot of depth to the scene as well. One of my favorite techniques is wedging together these particular rounded plate pieces. This is not an illegal technique because ever since 2014, I believe, it is legal to wedge tiles in between studs, like it was done a ton of times. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, that's an illegal technique. It is not. It is illegal to wedge plates in between studs, but tiles are totally okay. So really cool how they're using these as maybe mushrooms or something growing on the side of the trees. Not really sure what that is supposed to represent, but probably some mushrooms or some sort of growth on the side. You have actual mushrooms on the bottom here with sand green, I believe a recolor of that BB-8 type headpiece. Not sure, maybe we've seen that before, but it's still really nice in that color for mushrooms. And then you have really beautiful studs on the side stairs, so these are just different sizes of curves going all the way upwards to a nice bridge going over my favorite part of the nature of this set, which is the flowing waterfall, because As you can see here, they are using windscreen pieces. These are like helicopter windscreens as the waterfall flows itself. There's a nice bubbling river on the bottom here, and then as it flows outwards, there's a really, really nice way of building where you have a rock where the water is parted to flow around the rock. You have another bigger rock here, and it's just really nice and bubbling up. So good. I think this may be the best flowing water technique I have literally ever seen in a Lego set. It absolutely blew my mind when it was being built, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite nature-related things in the set itself. But speaking of absolutely insane building techniques, let's talk about this. This is something that I was really curious how they kept it stable when I was seeing images of the set. And I love this so much, I literally committed the build to memory. I think I could build this blind just because of how cool it was, where, as you can see, it is a pure Technic frame at the bottom. You are using the 3-pronged Technic axles to be able to attach these different pieces onto there, and they're just locked in with the 1x5 Technic plate pieces, really locked in super securely, using clip and bar techniques to mount the rest of the things and also studs on the side to keep them secure. And that results in a really, like, this is not breaking. Like, this is not coming apart. This is incredibly sturdy. Like, look at this. Like, this is insane how stable this is. If they just stuck it on studs, this would not be nearly as stable. But because they did this entire frame at the bottom, it's so stable, it's so smart, it's just, it's so good. So, huge fan of the way this is built. This is so impressive to me, and it looks really good too. It's all studs on the side construction, so it's really smooth. You can pose minifigures around it, and I just love the detailing here. Just phenomenal. Absolutely stunning build. But then we can move on to the inside part, because the actual interior of this building is a bit of a forge as well, which I think is a really nice detail. So looking down into here, this is basically a weapons rack to be able to host all of the extra weapons that were not used in the set itself. We will be taking a look at all of these in detail, so no worries about taking a look at them now, because I'll showcase them when we get to the minifigures, except this one, because this is actually a elven sword piece, which was not introduced or not used for any of the characters, at least in their basic forms, and it's a really nice piece. It is an update to the original Lego elven sword piece, which they introduced back in 2012 for Lord of the Rings, which I think is still around as like a detail piece. But this is just so accurate and so good, and I love that we got 4 of them in the set to be able to bolster any elven army, where you can see, you can remove the piece right here, and there you go. There's specialized elven swords just on the rack. That looks, so good. Oh my goodness, I am in love with the new weapons pack here. You also have a nice little area to forge swords as well, and then as you continue onwards, there's a nice furnace on the side of the building where you actually can have elves forging specialized swords and weaponry here. They have another copy, oh, whoops, I think that was supposed to go somewhere there, but they have another copy of this sword right here, which looks really good. Another new mold for the sword, which again, we will take a look at, don't worry. And everything about this is just really well put together. I think this is, oh my goodness, contender for the best set of the year, honestly. Already, it's just, I know it's early, but we do our top 10 LEGO Awards videos every year, and the building techniques are just boggling, mind-blowing how good they are. And speaking of mind-blowing building techniques, I think it's time to move over to the center area, which is the main part of Rivendell, the final thing that you build. Let's go. This is it. This is basically the centerpiece of the entire set, and wow, is it just gorgeous, stunning, astonishingly good. I cannot keep gushing about this. I literally, I am beside myself with how good this is. And let's start off with a review of the building techniques, because wow, this set is just incredible. So building techniques, you have some really nice studs on the side rock work here. You have, all of this is just studs on the side to form the rocks itself. You have a nice bridge going over the roots of the tree, and we'll talk about that tree in a little bit, because that tree is really phenomenal. And you go over to here, and I think the part that impressed me the most is that this feels like a solid structure, right? This feels like just a standard base plate structure, but the internal construction of the entire build was absolutely mind-blowing to me, where everything, as you can see, this is mounted at an angle, right? This is one angle, this is a different angle, and everything is connected via mixel joints. That's right, mini ball joints are attaching here, here, and on the back to mount this at a pure angle. And then you're not done. You have this part also mounted at an angle, a completely different angle. So this entire thing is on its own angle that's really sturdy. And then this whole thing is its own separate piece as well, which can be fully removed and played with and really shown in detail. And it's just beyond anything I've ever seen from LEGO. I don't even know how to describe it. It's the math, the geometry, the amount of engineering that went into making the base plate here. I don't think I've ever had a more glowing review on this channel. Like, usually I critique sets pretty harshly. If there's something I don't like, I will call it out. But I am struggling to find negative things to say about this model, because this is just phenomenal. So let's take a look at this going all around. Obviously, you have a bit of a simpler area on the sides because they are meant to be fully on the sides closed up by other parts of the building, but you have a really nice scene of the elves forging the rings themselves. That is a nice sticker to get there. And you go backwards and you have one of the most iconic parts of Rivendell, which is the statue which is holding the sword that was broken during the Battle of Sauron. That is such a cool new mold to get, a great statue to have there, so really love that. And this interior, look at this. These are all brand new 2x2 tiled pieces. Every single one of these is a new print. This is just a really nice new piece. It's a nice kind of dark orange or nougat colored and sand greenish, or almost olive green. Sorry, olive green and nougat color for the printing here, and brown. And that is just repeated over and over again throughout this build. And you even have a new Nexo Shield piece as well, which is printed for the first time in this particular arrangement. They spent a lot of time to really tile this up and make it feel special. And that just elevates the build beyond anything else. I think this just adds so much level of detail. It's a simple detailing, but it goes a long way. Moving on upwards to the upper levels, it is accessible fully by stairs. There's a lot going on here where you have stairs going up here, and then as you turn to the side, there are actually stairs with a nice banister going here, which is a really nice detail to be able to have minifigures walk upwards. You can go up to the upper piece here, the upper floor of the building. You can see that statue holding the sword, and you even have nice stickers of other different pieces of Tolkien lore, which is really cool. Zooming outwards here to take a look at the entire thing as a whole, let's take a look again as we rotate around. Look, as you can see, this angle here, all mixel joints. All mixel joints, baby. That is purely mounted on mixel joints. So smart. And you have another tree which is deceptively simple. Like, the build for this tree is literally just a Technic beam running through. It almost looks like, I don't know, the end of a witch's broom or something at the end here, but it's a really nice, tall, vertical, conical tree. And that is all attached very securely on the side of the building itself. And moving inwards, we can talk about the Council of Elrond. And this is thankfully removable, so you can remove that. And one of my favorite details is that you can actually see the Eye of Sauron underneath it, where you can see this is just a little bit of an Easter egg, because obviously when Gimli says, "Oh, let's get it done," and tries to smash the ring with his axe, you see the Eye of Sauron flash for a brief second, and they did an Easter egg in the build to see that there, which is very, very cool, which I do appreciate. There's another Eye of Sauron hidden under this section as well. So moving this aside, let's zoom in on this particular section here, because this is one of the main focus points of the set. It's one of the best parts of it. Starting off with the Council of Elrond area itself. Again, as I mentioned, you're using that Minecraft shulker box piece to form a star-shaped table. Very, very smart piece usage there. You have really well done chairs. These are made out of sausages and popsicle sticks, but they work so well. They look really good and very accurate to the authentic source material. And then you get to this tree where you are using the specialized macaroni piece, which looks really good as the roots of the tree snaking outwards here and here. And you go upwards and you're just using Technic pieces to attach the rest of the tree. But that tree is one of the centerpieces of the model, and it just looks so good. Overall, everything comes together really fantastically with this section of the build in particular. It just locks into place and it is good to go. This is truly the main part of the model. It is the most detailed, one of the best parts of it overall, and I am just such a huge fan of how everything came together to make this build as good as it is. One of my favorite things that I might want to add about this is that they actually included specialized pieces and new printed elements to represent minifigures with dresses actually sitting down. You have a piece for Elrond's dress here to represent what he looks like while seated, another piece for Gandalf to be seated, and even studs on the side pieces for the hobbits to sit with their short legs on the table itself, which is a really, really cool thing, or on the chairs. I love how they actually did that. They literally added these extra pieces to allow you to make Frodo, Gandalf, Elrond, and Bilbo sit around the table. That is so, so cool to me, and one of my favorite parts of the set. But with that, let's now take a look at each and every one of the new minifigures of the set, because wow, have these been overhauled to a crazy degree. So, let's go. Okay, so here we have the absolutely incredible minifigure lineup for the brand new Rivendell set, where every single one of the characters has been redesigned from their original counterparts, some for better and some for worse, honestly. And I really want to take a closer look at all these figures. I'll probably be putting out an upcoming video comparing these to the originals. I am, again, not at home right now, so I do not have the originals on hand. But once I get home, I do want to do a comparison because I think there's a lot of really interesting changes where a lot of things I really like, and some of the things I, well, don't. So because I'm going to probably put out another video about this, I'm not going to spend that much time on focusing on the minifigures for this review. I'll basically just show them, give my very basic and quick opinions on them, and then we're going to move on. So starting off with the Fellowship, let's just take a look at Gandalf first here. So Gandalf is, like all the figures, redesigned for this particular set. He has leg printing on the skirt piece for the first time, which is very cool. I really like seeing that. He has a brand new cape element, which is specially cut to be allowed to drape over with the beard there, which is very nice. And he also has the option to have either a hat or hair placed on him, so he can have his gray hair going backwards. Unfortunately, this is a figure that was actually hit by budget constraints, where if you look at the headpiece is actually a piece that originated in LEGO Harry Potter for, I believe it was Cornelius Fudge. They made this a few years back for that character, and because of that, they just probably didn't quite have the budget to make a new headpiece for Gandalf, which means that it doesn't look quite right. With the head on, the face is okay, like don't get me wrong, it looks like Gandalf, but if you compare it to the original, something just isn't quite right. I actually do have my LEGO Dimensions figure with me, so thankfully I can do a comparison here because I'm crazy and brought all of the LEGO Dimensions stuff with me on vacation to stream with on Twitch, and you can see the difference. Again, I'll be putting out another video on this, but that original head just is perfect for Gandalf, whereas this one clearly is a reuse from a different figure and just doesn't look right. It is really annoying having that be used. I understand it. Basically, the budget for the set had a set number of new minifigure prints, faces, torsos, legs, you name it, that they could make for the set, and they simply just ran out of budget for Gandalf. And to be completely honest, if this was all the budget they had, I'm looking at the figures and I really don't know who else I would have rather gotten a different face that wasn't generic other than Gandalf. Like, Aragorn needs a new face. Each of the 4 core members of the Fellowship, they need a new face. Boromir definitely needs a new face. You definitely need to have one for Bilbo, I would say, for that nice alternate face. If anything, maybe the statues didn't need a new face, they could have just been blank, but I also do feel that if you're doing statues, like, they have to have facial features. So yeah, looking at it, Gandalf was the one that made sense to reuse a head for. He's not the only character in the set they reused a head for, but I think it's still a fair thing to complain about, especially for a $500 set. I really would have preferred something a little bit special. Moving onwards to the rest, we have Aragorn here. Now, Aragorn is a brand new minifigure in a brand new outfit that we've never gotten from LEGO before. This is the more casual outfit that he wore at Rivendell itself, so I think this makes sense. I am sure that they are going to use the Aragorn head for future LEGO Lord of the Rings sets. It just makes sense. It's a new one they made for the character here. And yeah, I think it looks okay. In general, I am happy with it. It's a fairly basic outfit. It's probably one of the least interesting ones because it is just his casual clothing. I, for one, just cannot wait to see them finally do the Return of the King Aragorn again. They did it before in, like, 2013, but I would love to actually see one in the more modern style. What's very nice is he does have a brand new mold for the sword, which came as part of the sword weapon packs, which is very accurate to the sword he used in the movie. Moving onwards from that, we can take a look at Legolas, and yeah, unfortunately Legolas took a big L here because he has just Han Solo's face. Like, that is just the Solo movie Han Solo's face. Again, they ran out of budget to make a new print for it. Obviously, the old print for his face is long gone, so they just used the Han Solo one. I mean, it's not that bad. I can kinda see it. His old face was objectively better for the character, which was a more unique print for it, but it's not awful. It's not like Gandalf where something feels wrong. I think this works okay for Legolas, Again, though, would have really wished that each of the core members of the Fellowship actually got a new face. He does, however, have dual molded legs, which is really nice. I love seeing dual molded legs on the character, and overall, the graphic design for this is just really good. I love, again, those specially printed legs. It's just the face that's a bit disappointing. The elves also have a new dual molded solid and rubber hair piece. This is a brand new piece introduced for Lord of the Rings, which has the hair actually flowing on the front there, and one of the things the designer said in the instruction manual is that it actually was a bit of a challenge trying to come up with a hairpiece that worked good for male and female characters, but they were able to work it out, and this looks really good for Legolas in my opinion. Moving on from that, we can take a look at Gimli and my axe. So, Gimli here has been fully redesigned from his original counterpart, featuring new axe molds, which is really nice, mid-legs, which I think makes sense for a dwarf. His beard is a brand new mold. They have shortened the beard to allow you to see the printing underneath, and for the first time for Gimli, you can remove the helmet, and they did include a hairpiece to use on the back, which is why the back beard has been shortened as well. Now, removing the head here so you can get a closer look at the torso, let's just get that off. This is a nice looking torso. It's honestly fairly simple. Like, it's not as detailed as the original one, but it's not bad. I definitely think it is still a very nice torso to have, and he does have a new head being used for him, which is really good because Gimli definitely needed a specialized head to be used. Lastly, they have also remolded the helmet mold. There are some things I like about this better and some things I like about it worse than the original. Mainly, they have printed the back pieces instead of molding them, but we'll get into that when we do the minifigure comparisons later on. Moving on from that, we can move on and take a look at Boromir. So Boromir has a brand new shield piece and print. Obviously, that's the Captain America shield, but it is a new print for it. A different new sword mold, which is a really nice one to get for medieval characters. I mean, that looks fantastic. New headpiece, of course, a new head print. We have a smiling expression on that side and a more serious expression on the other side, but I think this fits the character so well. And rotating the cape around, you can take a look at the back printing. Fairly simple, but overall, a cool looking character. I think he is actually one of the best looking characters in the entire set. Leg printing, torso printing, new shield. What's not to like about Boromir? Well, other than the fact that he, tries to steal the ring. But, character flaws. Moving onwards to the main cast, we should start by taking a look at Frodo. Now, Frodo has the same Chrome Gold 1 ring piece, which I'm glad they kept Chrome Gold. They did not change that. He has a new mold for Sting, which is more accurate to the movies. It's got a nice little piece that you allow him to hold it tighter. This is featuring new dual molded legs for short legs for the first time for the Hobbits, which is a nice detail showcasing their feet exposed. And I also really like the new facial expression because I think that's pretty good. They've toned down the really scared expression that he has before. I think that one definitely works better than the original. And overall, I'm really happy with how this worked out. They're using the same old hairpiece, which I think makes a lot of sense. The weird one to me is Sam. They have changed Sam's hair color. They've actually swapped it. The original sets had this as his hair color, and this was swapped back and forth. They have made his hair dark orange, which I don't know. I really feel like the older color was better. If you look at the actor's hair, I feel like it was a lighter shade of brown than this. I don't know. I don't really know why they changed it. I guess they decided that it looked better for this particular minifigure, and they probably just spent a lot of time deliberating back and forth and landed on this. I kind of wish they stuck with the same colors, but also I might be biased because in my mind, Sam's hair color is one of the big distinctive features of him, and that's how I would distinguish him as a minifigure, and it just kind of looks weird to have it be changed. Otherwise, though, it is a good figure. You can move the cape aside to see some of the back printing there. Super simple, nice to get the short cape, and overall, a really nice minifigure to get. Next up, we have, of course, Merry and Pippin. I feel like I have to present them together. They're basically the same, they're one of the same. So we've got Merry and Pippin, the fool of a Took here. He is carrying his lembas bread, which is very nice, and you also have a carrot for Merry, which is quite cool to see as well. And I really like the detailing, especially on Merry's torso, where you can actually see the nice metallic looking coloration on the center vest there. That really has to shine in the light to be shown. But I really like how that looks. That's a really nice detail that is something a little bit more special compared to other versions of the characters. In terms of alternate expressions, they have a couple different ones here, a smiling one on both sides for Merry, and for Pippin, I liked using this more worried expression, although he has a happy expression as well. And I think the character and graphic design for these characters is just so good in terms of the facial expressions for the movie. Sam is the only one that feels a little bit off to me, but the rest feel perfect. Moving on from that, we can take a look at Elrond. And now Elrond is basically the main figure to use in Rivendell. He's obviously one of the main ones that you want showcased for the Council of the Fellowship there, and I love the printing on the torso and dress. That copper printing with silver looks stunning. I don't know about the headpiece. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it looks better like this. I always figured Elrond should have a more serious expression, but something about the expression doesn't look quite right to me personally. I don't know. Let me know what you think of Elrond's face down below. They obviously made a new print for him, so they did put effort into making a new print. I just don't know if the facial expression perfectly matches, but it might just be the way I'm seeing it, and I'm definitely being very nitpicky here. Moving onwards, we can have his daughter Arwen, and this is another great minifigure, unfortunately just using an existing LEGO minifigure headpiece. They did not make a new head for her, but I don't think they needed to. This one honestly works pretty okay for the figure itself, and yeah, love the silver printing. Not much to say about this one. It's just another elf minifigure with just the same existing head printing being used for other minifigures. I like the silver metallic detailing though. Moving on, we have one of my favorite minifigures in the set, and that is Old Crazy Bilbo, where you can see the alternate expression where he is grabbing the ring. I love that expression. It is so funny how they actually made that. Of course, you have a normal one too, but let's be honest. Why would you ever display this when you could have, this expression? I just love that expression right there. Moving onwards, we have Gloin the Dwarf. This is Gimli's father, and it is an older version of him. The first time we've gotten it in minifigure form, which is interesting. That new beard piece is done in white. They actually, I believe this is a new headpiece they made for him as well, so that is a new print for the head, which I guess you needed to have because if you're including an older dwarf, you do need a new headpiece. I honestly could have gone without him and maybe just had, like, better prints for Legolas and Gandalf, but I guess you need the complete meeting. Like, he was part of the meeting when the Fellowship was discussing everything, so I guess he was needed. But yeah, just a pretty simple minifigure. The torso, I believe, is something we've actually seen before as well. Moving onwards, we have two generic elves. These are not named elves, they kind of just exist in the scene, but I think they look okay. They're just good elves to get, just to be able to add some more details to the Rivendell set. Nothing too much to say there. Nice printing on the back of the skirt, though. That is a really nice metallic detailing. But yeah, they're just standard elves. Finally, we have a couple of statues, and these statues are featuring new prints for the set. There's a closer look at the sword that was broken there, which looks really cool. Look at that. That is just a perfect mold, and I cannot wait to get the fully reforged version. But overall, these are fairly simple builds. They're just statues that exist in the scene, and not much else I can say about that. And with that, we've summed up our look at every single one of the brand new LEGO Lord of the Rings minifigures. So this has been our review of Rivendell. $500 US, a glorious return to form for LEGO Lord of the Rings, and one of the most beautiful sculpture, detailing, and environment builds we have ever gotten from LEGO, basically ever. This may be one of the best sets of all time, and I do not say that lightly. I am a big fan of LEGO, I have been following the company's history for years, and I think I can confidently say they have never put out a set with this amount of crazy building techniques, with this amount of sculpting, with this amount of beauty in the surroundings, as they have with Rivendell here. Even people who are not fans of Lord of the Rings, who know nothing about the source material, can appreciate this set as a great LEGO build, with incredible building techniques, with stunning details. This is just simply a beautiful LEGO set overall, and I am so happy to have had the chance to add it to my collection. A fun tidbit about me is that I'm actually traveling for work right now. I am in a hotel, and I wanted this set so much. This set was so high on my wanted list that I actually went out and got the Rivendell set while traveling, built it and reviewed it while working remotely here in my hotel. I don't know how I'm going to bring this home. That's a whole other video to itself. But this was just something I had to have on launch, and it just does not disappoint in the slightest. But I want to talk a little bit about value, because obviously $500 is nothing to scoff at. It is a lot of money to pay for this. But showing how this literally sold out for VIP early access, fans are willing to pay the premium price for incredible Lord of the Rings products. And I do feel that, initially, going into the set, I honestly wasn't really sure if this was worth $500. I could see $350 for sure. I could easily see $400. $450, that's pushing it. $500 felt like a bit too much for me, especially when you consider stuff like Ninjago City Gardens, which has about the same number of pieces as this, but is $350. Or if you consider something like the upcoming Ninjago City Markets, which is coming out literally later this year and is rumored to cost around $350 for basically, again, the same amount of pieces. But now that I have it in hand, I honestly think that $500 is a lot fairer of a price to me than it initially seemed. Should it still be a little bit cheaper? Yeah, I think that nowadays, it's 2023, every LEGO set could be a little bit cheaper. But I honestly don't even know if I'd go below $450 for this, because you have to consider the amount of work that went into making this. From the graphic design to the 21, I'm counting the statues, 21 new minifigures. Sure, some of them reuse face prints, which I did not like. I was not a fan of the reused face prints, but for the most part, it's new prints for the figures all around, new dresses, new slopes, new pieces, the fern being made for this, and just the build itself is so stunning. It's so beautiful. Yeah, $500 for the effort that went into this and how deceptively large this is. When you finish this, like, this is my hand. My hands aren't that small. Like, I've got pretty big, meaty hands. Like, you've got... This is a huge set. I mean, you can see how minifigures scale with it. It is absolutely gargantuan. The scale is something you truly just have to see in person, I think, to really appreciate the scale of the set. Overall, $500, yeah, that's still a little bit high to me, to be completely honest. I wish it was $450. I think $450 would be really fair. Obviously, though, LEGO knows what they have. LEGO knows exactly what they've got. And I think that LEGO is well aware that they could price this at whatever they wanted, and it's so good that every Lord of the Rings fan would still buy it within reason. And it's very obvious that at $500, this is selling like hotcakes. In 2023, it's rare. It's incredibly rare for a $500 LEGO set to sell out, not even when it's on public access, but VIP early access. It's sold out for $500. That's nuts. You want to get nuts? This is nuts. So, this set is absolutely a work of art. I'm a huge fan of it. I hope that Lord of the Rings will continue to live on. And here's one final wish for the Lord of the Rings theme. Sets like these are amazing, right? Direct-to-consumer sets are phenomenal and great and bring some of the best building techniques ever, but $500 is nothing to scoff at. That is a lot of money for somebody to spend on a LEGO set. And I feel that there's a lot of Lord of the Rings fans who want detailed, good LEGO Lord of the Rings sets who just simply can't spend or shouldn't spend $500 responsibly on a LEGO Lord of the Rings set. And that's why I really feel that I hope that LEGO Lord of the Rings gets actual minifigure scale sets outside of a few brickheads, outside of crazy overpriced, or maybe not even overpriced, but priced outside of the realm of most people's reasonability. I hope that LEGO Lord of the Rings, as a full theme, will return in full force. Give me an $80 Gandalf vs. Balrog set. Give me an $100 Helm's Deep. I don't know, give me like a $50 Weathertop. Or an $80 Shire Bag End. Redo all the old hits and give us things we've never seen before as well. Now, you can save some of the heavy hitters for direct-to-consumer sets. Do I want a $500 Minas Tirith? Yes, please. We now know through leaks that I really can't or probably shouldn't talk about that maybe we might be seeing more Lord of the Rings in the future. This is not the last of the theme, and I certainly hope not, because if this is a sign of what's to come, I am beyond excited for the future of probably my favorite licensed franchise being depicted in LEGO form. And with that, we have summed up our review of the glorious LEGO Rivendell set, and I am so curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at the LEGO Lord of the Rings Rivendell 2023 set. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the model? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And most importantly, do you think it's worth the very hefty price tag, especially considering that we are getting similarly pieced LEGO sets for close to half the price later on this year? It's an interesting quandary because, of course, Lord of the Rings is so popular, everybody wants the Lord of the Rings set, but I do kind of feel that for $500, maybe this was a little bit too much. $400, done. 450, that's pushing it. 500, I think it's just a little bit too much, but of course that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree, and do let me know if you, like me, went down and bought this on day one, lined up at the LEGO store to build it. I actually was able to build it on Twitch, so you can go check that out, linked in the description below if you want to see my builds and other live builds and LEGO chat sessions. I also do some LEGO gaming on Twitch as well, so you can go check that out if you want to see some live streams. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Duck Bricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks so much, and bye for now.